4 o'clock in the morning and tell me things to do. I no longer need to sleep very much because I'm woken up constantly by angels and giving me instructions on things that I can do to help further the Father's work.
I have a wonderful husband, Joseph, at home, who is watching our 2 beautiful children, Colby, who's 7, and Tylee, who is 1.
Yeah.
I had been married to someone who was very awful, who raped my children.
Yeah. What do you guys like to do for fun?
We like to play all kinds of sports on our 3 acres.
Okay, sounds like you have a nice life there.
We do.
Congratulations.
Thank
Nice to have you with us.
No charges were ever filed against Joe Ryan. Circling around back to Lori's second husband for a moment, criminal charges were filed in this case, but Lori never showed up for court. In my opinion, Lori learned how to play the victim role extremely well. It's fascinating how, of all her marriages, she was an abused victim in every case when it ended. Either Lori is the most unlucky wife in the world, or Lori found something that worked and she stuck with it. And no one stopped her until children died.
I grabbed her name, looked at the name, put it in my pocket, and I told my father, I was like, I know you've given me like 5 confirmations, but I really need to know, this is a big deal. I have to leave my baby and her baby's like, I'll go do whatever you want me to do, but I really need to know this is what you want us to do. And so I'm in the Mesa Temple, and as soon as I'm going through the veil, look at this card, I open it up, look at her name, and it's stamped Hawaii, Hawaii, Hawaii.
Did you hear that? I just want to know, that clip right there, she said,
and as soon as I'm going through the veil, look at this.
So I went into the temple and I went through the veil. Does that mean she went through this experience in her mind? I'm just wondering.
And as soon as I'm going through the veil, look.
I'm wondering if she used spiritual experiences as a way to qualify decisions that she made in her life often. Was that something that she did? Is that competent behavior? Is she lying? Is she just trying to claim moral superiority here? Is she lying? Or did this really happen? That's what I really want to know, because it makes a big difference in my opinion. The answer to that question kind of tells you whether, as she sits in the mental institution right now, if she's actually competent or incompetent. I think if she was really believing that she was seeing angels confirming she needed to go to Hawaii in 2018, then I think it's possible that we are dealing with seriously mentally ill woman who has been basically enabled her whole life. So either she's crazy and manipulative, or she's manipulative and evil because she's using fake religious experiences to manipulate and coerce people into believing that she is legitimately experiencing this connection with the Lord. Is it possible that Lori has schizophrenia and she rationalized her hallucinations through her religion? Is that even possible? Is that something that she could have really been doing her whole life? Or is she really making this up to manipulate people? It's hard to say, especially when there are certified clinicians that are carefully evaluating her and finding her incompetent to stand trial. Is she that good?
One thing she told me was that when she was in the temple, she said she saw Jesus Christ face to face and she talked to him. And I thought, that's an odd thing to say. Then we were standing in her kitchen and she said that she was turning into a translated being. And I was like, well, what do you mean you're turning into a translated being? And she said, I don't have to eat anymore. And if somebody shot me with a gun, the bullet wouldn't even go through me. And I looked at her and she looked at me and I was like, Lori, what you're saying is not true. This is nonsense. And she goes, you think I'm crazy, don't you? I was like, I don't know if you're crazy, but what you're telling me is not normal. And this is not happening to you. And from that point, she tried to cut everything off with me.
By all accounts, this is where Lori was. She believed that angels were talking to her, she was a goddess, nothing could kill her, and she was immortal. Now imagine that this is your wife, and you've just realized that she truly does believe these things, and she's turned against you. When Lori and Charles were almost at their 13-year anniversary, his relationship with Lori began to change.
Logically, she's gone. Something's happened to her.
How old is she?
30, 45.
What's going on? Why is she here and you're not here? Why are you staying here with her?
She's had kind of a rupture with her. She thinks you're LDS?
Yes.
She thinks she's married tomorrow night.
You think she's what?
Married tomorrow night, top of the temple.
Angel, LDS. LDS, Angel.
They don't let me in there.
Probation, and she knows when the second coming is happening next year, so does a prophet.
Okay.
He knows it, she knows about it. She meets with Moroni, Jesus Christ, face to face in the temple every day. I've tried to support her as much as I could, but it's gotten really, really bad lately. She's had a break.
Only a short decade before this video, Charles had married Lori and believed he'd found his soulmate. Throughout their marriage, nobody could say Charles had not done everything to make Lori happy and given her everything she wanted. Charles and Lori even adopted a beautiful special needs boy named JJ. JJ was Charles's nephew, the grandson of his sister and brother-in-law, Kay and Larry Woodcock. All saw Lori as religious, but believed that her views were standard.
They really wanted to adopt him, so as things happened, they did. And so they took possession of JJ in February of 13, and then, you know, went through the adoption process, and I believe it was final in July of 2014.
My question is Lori seriously mentally ill? As in, is she truly experiencing a completely different reality? Or is Lori so skilled at manipulation that even the clinicians who have evaluated her can't tell that she's faking it? Is there a third option?
In 2002 she was kind, she was winsome, she was a lot of fun to be around. Like, she was like a Pollyanna.
So you must have obviously trusted Lori then.
Absolutely.
Angry. I'd never seen her raise her voice. She was always a good mom.
Lori, and we have seen her dedication.
Everyone liked Lori, trusted her, and believed that she was a perfect mother. I think, personally, that Lori is and was very intelligent, very capable of operating in society. I mean, she got 5 husbands, 5 men to marry her, lots of friends to sing her praises even when her children were missing. She was even able to charm the cops, as I'll get into in another video. I do believe, however, Lori Vallow, Lori Cox, Lori Ryan, Lori Daybell. So my opinion is, I think Lori was always capable of this. I don't think she experienced human empathy based on the way that she treated her husbands, her first, second, and especially her third husbands. I don't think that history shows that she cared about how other people felt. I think she used and discarded people like trash. Sadly, I think Charles lasted the longest of all her husbands because he was able to fulfill that desire that she had for money. He was able to pretty much give her everything she wanted, except what Chad Daybell was able to give her. He made her a goddess. The life that Chad told Lori he and her had and would live in the future was so intoxicating, it was enough for Lori to drop the perfect life she had built, including her children. Lori had always disposed of husbands, but the fact that she was able to dispose of her children as callously as she had her husbands tells me she probably always had it in her. Anyways, until the next video, where I dig into Chad Daybell.